Number 8, the topic we cover in the staff meeting is conviction. This is very important, and conviction is important. We're talking about motivation here. And so conviction is done in many ways. And one is, we talked about the mission statement. If you do not have a mission statement, you need to have one. Everybody needs to know in a very concise, simple 2-3 sentences, why are we here? Why do we come here? And I'm not talking about the paycheck. I'm talking about what's the focus here. And again, the purpose statement is who we are, what do we do, and who do we do it to or for. That's the topics of a mission statement. Staff education. That's very important to help increase conviction and create value. So we always want to go into the staff education. And again, I'll cover some of the core components of staff education, but they include, and most doctors don't realize this, that the staff is educated in the basics of a consultation, the basics of the meaning of why do we do these tests and what is the meaning of them, that help us find the problem, help us determine how they're responding, and then also what's the care based on with the 3 phases of healing, and then all your therapies. What do your therapies do? Why are you doing them? Relative to saying that helps create conviction and clarity. Patient presentation, same thing. We always want to make sure that the patient presentation, patient education, patient presentation has real clarity. We'll go over the common symptoms when it comes to conviction. In other words, we want to do a little bit of a case presentation. What we'll do is we'll cover, you take the patient, and there should always be a mini case presentation every time you do a staff meeting. And it's not as extensive as like when we did case presentations in doing our internships, but it's very simple. It only should last like 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And what you do is you take the patient, you go, okay, here's one of the patients, here's the symptoms, here's the objective findings we found with a specific emphasis on the restricted or limited activities of daily living. And that's how we found the diagnosis. So this is the treatment we did. These were the therapies, and this was why we did these therapies based on these biomarkers relative to this phase of healing. And then what you do is you compare and contrast. You show how the symptoms before and the tests that were positive before versus now as a result of your therapeutic protocol with specific emphasis on the activities of daily living. That's what staff members can relate to more so than a positive CHEMS test. Positive CHEMS test has no meaning, no emotional content to a staff member. But when you say, hey, Mrs. Jill couldn't put on her socks, and now she can dress herself and put on her socks. Well, there's human value in that. So you always want to do a mini case presentation to increase your staff conviction and do it with a contrast and the outcome. And you especially want to do it with patients that your staff members have referred. It feels good when you refer somebody to somebody for a product or a service, and they benefit from it. And it makes you feel good as the referring party. So when you have staff members that refer family members or friends in, make sure you do a case presentation. Go, here's what it was before, here's what it is after, and this is how we were able to help the person you referred in. And let me tell you, it makes your staff, not just your staff, it would make me feel good. When I refer somebody and my referral helped that person, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good about what I'm doing, and it helps propagate referrals. So make sure you always do at a staff meeting a case presentation for conviction, staff conviction. And by the way, the number one person's conviction you'll affect is yours. It'll be the doctor's. I always say that the number one way to increase your conviction is to teach it. That's the number one way to increase your conviction. That's why I always had my new doctors teach my new patient orientation classes, because that skyrockets conviction when you actually teach somebody how something works.